What's up? What's the word?
Polo G on the pod. We checked it out the other day.
It was cool.
It's gonna be fire when she come up here to talk to us one day, right?
She better come up here. Bring us up there.
I think the initial part of the conversation we was gonna wrap about us like I guess her podcast and Polo G being on there and Mount Rushmore Chicago artists, right?
Yeah.
Right.
We could. I mean, I feel like that topic's been lingering around for the longest. I guess we can start on that. Like, how do y'all feel about Polo G's Mount Rushmore?
I mean, I feel like we should really go with Chris first because he's more closer to like Polo G generation. Shout out to Polo G, but that wouldn't have been my Mount Rushmore. We talked about this for like a couple of weeks now. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a bad Mount Rushmore, and everybody's is their own personal thing, but it just wouldn't have been mine.
Oh, all right. Well, what's the issue with it? What you would have put on there? Or like, who you think shouldn't be?
I mean, how old is Polo? That's the point.
He what, 25?
Like 26, 25, something like that.
26.
Probably like same age as me.
Oh, Polo put himself on there, or she put Polo?
No, he didn't put himself on. He said he still had more work to do.
Wait,
so he didn't think.
So he had
Juice WRLD,
Juice WRLD, Kanye West, G Herbo, and Chief Keef. Chicago Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
I don't think that's for like my generation. That's not wrong. That's like accurate because I don't know.
Kanye West, G.
Some people would put like Dirk on there, but I wouldn't even.
You wouldn't put Dirk on there?
I wouldn't. Respectfully though, I don't think he as influential as Keith or Juice WRLD or Kanye or her.
I wouldn't put Juice on the Mount Rushmore.
That's crazy.
I wouldn't put Juice on there either.
That's crazy. Y'all put her on there though?
Yeah.
I would put
over Juice. Yeah, I put
over
her
Juice.
Yeah.
Really, I would put Juice over her.
Do you know Juice? Juice doesn't inspire his own generation of rappers. You know that.
I would put Juice WRLD over Herb just because to me I feel like Herb is like with Juice it was all about the music, and with Herb I think it's because Herb has such like an entertaining personality. Yeah, you don't think so?
Like entertaining, like in what way?
Like Herb goes viral a lot because just like even back when he was with Ari, like a lot of people knew Herb before they became a fan of music. They knew him because he was going viral.
But you gonna bring up Ari? That's like way out.
But that's my point. Is that's how long he's been
like relevant,
entertaining outside of music. I feel like Juice was all about the music.
All right. So was he based in the Mount Rushmore?
No, I'm saying I will put Dirk on there over her. I would take Herb off.
You said Juice is influential. I don't know anybody else that sound like Juice when you speak about influence. I feel like it's more people that were kind of like coming after Keith, coming after Herb, coming after Kanye, that kind of pulled from them from inspiration as opposed to pulling from Juice. Juice was inspirational, influential for sure. Mm-hmm. But not only that, but like I said, Polo 25 years old. So like his perspective, his Mount Rushmore is going to be that. It's so many more artists from Chicago, so many more rappers that came before that generation. But I'm not going to knock Polo. And him and Angel sat down and talked about it, and it was a real quick conversation. So I mean, shout out to Polo.
Really go in depth.
Yeah, shout out to Polo. Shout out to his.
I think for Polo it makes sense though.
Yeah, because
What you think, Cody?
Yeah, who would y'all put on there?
I wouldn't put Juice WRLD on there. I think if you're doing by being a generational thing, I think I get Polo's perspective. But if we start talking about just overall body of work, if we start talking about impact, the culture. Are we just talking about the city? Or are we talking about globally? Like, are we talking about consistency? Like, what are we talking about?
Cody,
answer the question.
Yeah,
Cody.
like wait, yeah.
What are we talking about?
We talking about Polo perspective.
Right.
Do you think that it made sense?
He's talking about
right.
What's
yes
going on in
no?
the world? Well, if we talking about around the world, what artists from Chicago have that much influence besides Kanye and Keith?
Ye and Keith would be
they solidified.
Yeah, Keith would be like those top two, right? Mm-hmm. The third to me, if we're talking about Mount Rushmore, will have to be if you're talking about everything as an artist. Chance will have to be third, and then the fourth one to me will be a fight between Dirk and Herb. And the only reason why I put Chance as a third is because Chance, if we're talking about accolades musically, right? Chance has the classic projects, so he checked the boxes on music. When you're talking about impact on culture, Chance did that. He had his impact on culture, outstanding lasting culture.
Right.
When you start talking about the Chicago community, he has that. When you start talking about nationally and globally, he's a national global figure. You know what I mean? Like, he reached a level where you know Chance the Rapper. Like, that name rings the bells everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Juice WRLD did that. I don't think
Well, let's give him some slack a little bit. Let's give him a little slack.
You don't think Juice did that?
He had plenty of worldwide recognition. I think.
I don't think.
Speaking from my generation, like Juice is probably one of the most copied rappers.
But
like,
Juice copied
right now.
Juice copied his style.
But everybody get their style from somewhere. You know that's
so.
Of course.
Juice WRLD ain't nothing.
But like Juice WRLD was. I don't think nobody was making like you want to call like emo rap, but like nobody was making like that kind of music.
But he was the only black person doing it. But it was an emo rap. You know who the emo rapper before Juice WRLD was?
Who you want to say Logic?
No, Post Malone.
Ooh, I got something about Post Malone. I don't really...
Polo is 25 years old. He gave us his list. It was a cool list.
I think, but the bigger conversation to me with the Injuries podcast that I wanted to point out is that as a Chicago media outlet, and we are like us being from Chicago, don't y'all is it? I don't want to say slighted is the wrong word because I champion Injuries. But are y'all seeing that like she came basketball player, she's not from here, she get this platform and like a lot of the interviews and a lot of the connects that a lot of media outlets in Chicago that they try to get or they want that they can't get, but this new podcast from this new young lady, she was able to get that right away.
Well, Ryan Therese is popping. I mean, she
capitalized.
She capitalized
off
her success.
When you hot, you gotta stay hot.
Exactly.
And she not finna play basketball no more, so she need
not no more. That's a lot.
But
she chilling right now.
She done for the season.
Right, she done for the season. She trying to not stay relevant, but it's something for her to do to keep her name out there.
That's the Angel Reese part. I'm talking about her being able to get these star-studded guests. I think
she's a star.
She's a star.
She's a star herself.
I get it.
Is it right?
Yeah,
I get it. I mean,
as
a talent, as a journalist, well, I feel slighted, yeah, but also it's like at this point, being a journalist that started from like the intern to being like, okay, now I'm on the radio, now, people hosting shows and things like that. It's like, that's just the world. That's just the way that digital media is right now. Right. If that's the case, I'm mad at Joe Budden. If that's the case,
be mad at Joe Budden.
I'm mad at Nicki Minaj. I'm mad at Shannon Sharp. Like, y'all just pick up.
Why would you be mad at Joe though?
Because it's like, okay, you get to have all this extra accolades because you came from another industry. Like, that's what you're saying.
I think you can't put Joe in that category because Joe been building this podcast for like almost 10 or 15 years.
But he still started as a rapper. He didn't start as a podcaster.
Right, and then you get all
he
your...
He actually was the first. He was like the pioneer.
He was the first person to do a podcast.
He was one of the pioneers in hip-hop podcast.
He was one of the pioneers. He also
but I would still be mad.
Why would you be mad if he's the person that carved out the lane for everybody?
No, it's only. I think it's only because that you saying that she's a star and she's getting star guests on her platform.
Because it makes sense.
That makes sense.
It makes sense. Like, you can't be mad. That's today's world of podcasting and digital media.
I'm trying to think of somebody big, right? Like,
I'm just saying, as somebody who's not star-studded, I would be mad if this wasn't today's society, but it's normal today. It's normal for somebody like Jada and Des. I don't think their podcast is good, but they got clout.
So a big part of that is the part that you just brought up is important because the folks that were popping when the podcast boom first happened during the pandemic, a lot of them is kind of like broken down cars you see on the highway. They started off hot, and then after a while they realized like, damn, this really is work. And this is really something I got to invest into. And 3 or 4 episodes in, they kind of over it. You see what happened with Spotify. They had the Obamas. They had Kim K. They had Meghan Markle and Prince Henry because they were hot. But they're not podders. They're not podcasters. And a lot of that money that got thrown their way as opposed to people that are knowledgeable, journalistic, into the podcast game, really into producing, that could give you content that's worthwhile in watching, they were having to scrap and grind for it. But the ones that were hot in the beginning, you don't see them around anymore because they realize there's more to it than that. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen with Angel Reese's show, But we all kind of had our critique or our perspective on how the show was going. And she young, bro. Like,
and she just starting out.
Polo
so
25,
I feel
Angel
like
22. She just got off the court. It's something to kind of keep her busy until, you know, she's done from injury. And not for nothing, I don't think that the episodes that she put out were that bad, especially when you're getting the perspective of a 22-year-old
And it's only her
coming into
second
her
episode.
own.
I feel like there's always room. There's still room for her to grow.
So let me putting the producer hat on. Do you think that as a basketball star, do you think she should have went the route of having a podcast talking more about sports and women's sports and like that route?
Have you watched the podcast?
So I'm gonna say this. What we are missing right now is an inside the WNBA. You know how we got inside the NBA? Mm-hmm. We don't necessarily have that avenue for the women's game. We just now getting into seeing it on national TV. Last year, a year and a half ago, you couldn't catch women's games on TV. You had to catch it on Facebook, Twitter, CBS, all over the place. You had to hunt for it.
That's true.
So now they're getting ready to turn into that. Personally, I don't bang with none of the athletes' podcasts that are still playing because none of them are in my opinion, none of them provide a perspective that has substance. They all from a nuanced lens. When you watch like a KG and Paul Pierce show, I know we're gonna talk about Paul Pierce in a little while, but when you talk about some of the other athletes that are retired, especially inside the NBA, they can give you the perspective of, all right, this is something that's worthwhile listening to. These players that talk now, it's a lot of his narrative. If I get on PG's podcast or Pat Bell's podcast, and they talking from a place where I'm pissed I got traded, or I'm pissed I got cut and now I'm on this team, you're not going to get a real perspective. You're going to get something that's going to be like...
Politically correct.
Yeah. Because they still playing. They still got to protect their money. They still got to protect their brand.
I feel like these questions are an attack on Adri's podcast.
No, she fired. She fired. Angel's fired.
Have you watched the podcast? Have you watched it?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I feel like it. There you go.
But it's not a personal attack. It's just that I've seen some chatter and I brought it to my co-host.
Like, I think it's because she talks about basketball in the episodes.
Right. So
it's a little bit of everything. Like it's just not like this an inside WNBA because she's probably the biggest women's basketball player that has a podcast right now. Like, no, she's still a girly girl. Like, she likes to talk about her relationship life. She likes to clear up the rumors that people been having about her. It's really about like her story, but also they sprinkle in things that's going on in the WNBA as well. You should take the time out to watch it.
And she
I'm gonna check it out. But see, you attacking me.
I did not. I just told you. You should take the time to watch it.
Did I cut you off? I'll let you ride, right? I'll let you rock, right?
We all in 5 for sure.
All right, I'll let you rock before we get to the next thing. No, I'm not attacking her or not saying something was wrong with her podcast. I'm just throwing it off there because the chatter I seen. I just want to get y'all perspective on it. Because my next part of the question was going to be, do y'all feel like this is a win for Chicago media in the whole? That now, if you start looking at the lenses of everything that we got going on, because Chella just announced what she going to be doing with Angela Yee, it's like it's a boom in the market right now.
That's what I was just finna say. Yeah. Like, right before you brought that up, I was gonna say this is a win for Chicago, like, because she got a podcast based out here, and now people have a reason to come out here and promote something. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got Polo G stepping on the show, you got Lotto coming on the show with Mariah Scientist. Like, it's a good thing, and she's using some like local Chicago media people as well to like help create the show. So I think it's a win.
Yeah.
And once, like I say, it's gonna start a boom, like just with the WNBA. She's gonna start a podcast. Not a podcast, but like people gonna be more interested in the media out here.
You're gonna watch it when Caitlin Clark come on the show.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check this one out with Polo. I just haven't had the time to sit down and like review it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna check it out.
It's early too, bro. She only got 3 episodes. When you was 22 years old and you was starting the company, did you know what you was doing? Did you know everything that you were doing? Like, did you have the clear cut vision?
Fuck.
Or you was just trying? You was just trying stuff out and seeing what worked, right?
She also didn't have help either. She has a lot of help.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
Hey, what's up? What's the word?